Welcome everybody to another edition of MLW as we continue on the road to hybrid hell. So let's get rolling with the go home show for that big show as we're at one taping, ML Underground taping, or one show ML Underground taping in beautiful Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So let's get rolling. As we start with a Jerry Lynn promo where he basically says he knows that Steve Corino and D'Lo Brown are both in Japan wrestling, but Corino better stay comfortable with that belt because it's the last time he'll hold it. Because after hybrid hell, they'll be describing him as the new MLW World Champion, and there's nothing Corino or the rest of the Extreme Horsemen can do about it. 51, solid promo. And we then go to the ring for a four-way spot fest where an about that didn't have much heat, and Turbo Wrestling Sanjay Dutt defeated TJ Wilson, Teddy Hart, and Bobby Quance in 9:13 when Sanjay Dutt pinned Bobby Quance with a Bombay Splash. Bobby Quance got a 26, so TJ Wilson got a 28, Teddy Hart got a 22, Sanjay got a 50 because he's actually really good and over. Thank you, TNA. And this gets a 38 overall. And then Sanjay Dutt says he will be at Hybrid Hell, and he doesn't care who his opponent is, he'll take on anybody. And that gets a 47, short little promo, just to remind people that, hey, we have Dutt, he's a wrestler for us, and he'll be at Hybrid Hell. And then there's a backstage sort of video where we show Sabu basically sending himself through tables, cutting himself, doing all sorts of crazy Sabu things, where even Ranson says, Sabu is my path to redemption. That's why at Hybrid Hell, he will take you apart, ECMO, piece by piece, because he's homicidal, he is genocidal, he is suicidal, but most importantly, he is the man. He is the way I will be redeemed by making sure he becomes the legend that he should be for real. And the first path is defeating you, ECMO. And that gets a 45. Solid stuff. And then we had in a terrible match, that's mean, the Havana Pitbulls defeated Harry Smith and Jack Evans in 7:28 when Ricky Reyes pinned Jack Evans with a Cuban Missile Crisis. Rocky gets a 27, Ricky gets a 36, Jack Evans gets a 37, Harry Smith gets a 22, match overall gets a 34. So just a match to get the Havana Pitbulls back over. Nothing fancy, but just the good guys, the bad guys go over. And then Havana Pitbulls beat down, and also Natty Neidhart takes a bump, just because, why not? It's 2004, of course Natty would take a bump. And this gets a 27. Again, build the Pitbulls as heels, and there you go. And then you have a pre-match promo with Nigel McGuinness going over his match with Homicide tonight for the number one contendership of the junior heavyweight title. And, he wants to face Low-Ki to truly prove who's the best wrestler in this company, because we sure as hell know that Ponce, who thinks he's the king, sure as hell is it. So this gets a 37. Nigel's slowly getting over. And then in the actual match itself, about that decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling, Nigel McGuinness defeated Homicide in 11:55 by pinfall. This gets a 42. Nigel gets a 43. Homicide gets a 35. And then afterwards, we have a 2-minute stare down between Low-Ki and Nigel before Low-Ki simply walks away, pulling at his belt. And that gets a 47, because Low-Ki is actually pretty over. And then in our sort of thrown together main event, which gets a 50, Jerry Lynn and Chris Hero defeated Vampiro and Simon Diamond in 8:16 when Chris Hero pinned Vampiro with the Hero Sandwich. So basically, on the outside, Lynn and Diamond are fighting. Hero gets the advantage and pins Vampiro. Hero gets a 26. Lynn gets a 58. 50. Simon Diamond gets a 58. Vampiro gets a 49. And then this show ends with Lynn hitting the crater pile driver on Diamond right in the middle of the ring and then making the belt motion. As the announcers also put over the fact that, let me do some last little bit of booking. So, and these would obviously all be announced, on the internet. So we got Low-Ki versus Nigel McGuinness with the junior heavyweight. So we'll pre-book that. And also another match that would be signed officially. Wait, that match not signed? I thought I put it in there. If it's not, I'll add it. Yeah, okay. Also, that would be announced is Bryan Danielson versus Chris Hero in a rematch. And let's see here. And then another match that would be officially announced is Homicide versus, of course, Nigel's tag team partner, your friend and mine, Roderick Strong. And of course, this isn't the full card, but that's what will be officially announced beforehand. So we finish the show, it gets a 47. And then let's see, because if you remember at the end of the last video, basically redid our whole schedule because our American One contract was ending. So let's see how bad our ratings drop. I hope it's not too bad, but I'm sort of expecting the worst. Steve Austin did new catchphrase. What? Another version of what? Let's see here. Wait. Okay, so let me see here. Yeah, okay, so we basically, our ratings dropped by like half because we lost our American One deal because they were overlapping. And since you can't have overlapping deals, even though you can start with overlapping deals for some reason, yeah, but that's unfortunate. But you know, oh well, not the end of the world. But yeah, just sort of go over stuff, storyline wise, best in the world, which now will involve Chris Hero instead of Bryan Danielson. So we actually should probably add him. So let's go ahead and take Hero out of the Hardcore War. Add Hero to it. Oops. Add Hero to it. That's a 51. This Hardcore War is still at a 48.9, which probably... I should probably, yeah, take... See, I should have taken Homicide out earlier, but, you know, better now than... So let's go ahead and add Homicide back into this. And, yeah, tag titles are good. This is at a 39. Raven Akamo Sabu is at a 50. Monosuke is at 44. And that obviously involves... Basically, that's the light heavyweight division. And the world title feud, which is Steve Corino, is at a 51. So, solid stuff. Let's see here. No other important mail, right? Yeah. We did finish 3 out of 4, so let me actually look that up and see who beat us. Company Wars. Nope, that's not the Wars. I always forget where these are. Where are you? I know you're... Oh, Battles. There we go. So, Southeast. Okay. Wait, NWA 4 got a friggin' 70? How did they pull that off? Now I just want to see. Oh, right. Okay. Right. They're pulling 70s because they have a weekly show and they're having, like, Sting versus... Okay. So they're basically NWA TNA Part 2. Mostly because they have Sting. Okay, that makes more sense. Because, yeah, they were getting, like, 48s. Well, I mean, they had Jeff Jarrett also before. Okay. It's just a wacky fed. But at least we're beating Wildside, so there's a positive. And also, yeah, obviously we're going to lose to TNA. TNA, get bigger so you're no longer part of this war. Anyway, back in a second. Well, in reality, it'll be a couple minutes for me, but for you, it'll be just a couple seconds, and then it'll be time for Hybrid Hell. So we see you then. Now, welcome everybody to Hybrid Hell, live from the Florida Club 301 in beautiful Tampa, Florida, as Kevin Kelly welcomes us to the show, putting over the world title match between Steve Corino and Jerry Lynn, the match between Sabu and Ekman, which will be a hardcore war, and the junior heavyweight title match between Low-Ki and Nigel McGuinness. This gets a 44. I move on to Sanjay Dutt opening the show saying he wants a challenge, and the Amazing Red comes out and accepts that challenge. That gets a 32. And then we move on to our opening match, which is a hell of a banger. As in a decent match, the Amazing Red defeated Sanjay Dutt in 10:26 by pinfall to Code Red. Sanjay Dutt gets a 53. The Amazing Red gets a 46. For a really good match. And then after the match, Red and Dutt have a handshake. If you haven't noticed by now, the junior heavyweight division in here is basically my mini ROH. Because they're all faces, and sure, why not? You know. And this gets a 46 as they do a quick handshake. And then we have a match between Homicide and Roderick Strong, as Homicide defeated Roderick Strong in 10:33 by pinfall with a 187, which gets a 51. And, oh, right, Jason Ayers, right. I brought in my ref I bring in every big show. Anyway, and this is a really good, this is a much better match than I expected. But yeah, Homicide defeated Roderick Strong in 10:33 by pinfall with a 187. So back and forth match, but Homicide manages to power out and get the big win over Strong, which gets a 51. As Homicide gets a 35, and Roderick Strong gets a 54, like I said. And then Homicide celebrating gets a 44. Then we have a freestyle stemming where basically the Hearts have an entrance along with 99 Heart and Jack Evans' girlfriend. Hold on. Yeah, Jack Evans' girlfriend's Val, which gets a 21 because none of these people are over, but, it's a goofy thing to do. And then, in a terrible match, the Hart Foundation 2.0 defeated PJ Friedman, Matt Martell, and Norman Smiley in 9:44 when TJ Wilson pinned PJ Friedman, which gets a 37. And if you're wondering why PJ Friedman did the job, well, he just accepted a offer to do an MMA match in 2 months, so guess who's on the job squad till then? TJ gets a 29, Jack Evans gets a 40, Teddy Hart gets a 20, Norman Smiley gets a 38, Matt Martell gets a 27, and PJ Friedman gets a 31. Then we have, in a decent match, Bryan Danielson defeated Chris Hero in 17:58 by submission with a cattle mutilation. Danielson gets a 55, Hero gets a 34. So again, this is just, a very well-worked technical style match. But in the end, Danielson does some, subtle healing. And then, finally, does the I have till 5 referee thing. And then locks in the cattle mutilation for the win. And then after the match, Danielson makes the ring announcer announce him as the best in the world, which gets a 42. And then, in About That Head, good heat and decent wrestling. ECMO defeated Sabu in a hardcore match in 13-18 by pinfall with a Samoan drop after being turned on by Raven. So, it looks like Sabu's finally going to win against ECMO, but Raven comes in. It looks like Raven wants to get in one more shot in on ECMO, but all of a sudden, he turns around and drops Sabu with a chair shot. ECMO is able to hit the big Samoan drop and get the pinfall victory. Sabu gets a 48, ECMO gets a 45, and we'll turn, I don't care if it's a disaster. And then Raven hits another DT on Sabu and then explains himself to Mike and says, "You have to understand what redemption actually means. And it means whatever the hell I want. I thought I wanted redemption. I really did. But I've decided I want what I want. And what I want is destruction of the past. And to light the future on fire one way or another." Then he walks away, which gets a 50 because Raven's really good at promo. Oh, shit. Son of a bitch. That's the first time I've done that in forever on a video. So, so Simon Diamond and D'Lo Brown versus the SAT got a 51. Unfortunately, can I click on it? No, I can't. Okay. As far as that match goes, basically what happens is low-key, the actual match begins as a squash. Diamond and D'Lo Brown using their tag team skill to keep both, Jose and Joel stuck in, their own corner. But eventually, as you make a slight comeback, and in the mess of the comeback, Jerry Lynn comes in, hits the credit pile driver on Simon Diamond, while D'Lo Brown is actually arguing the ref over something else, and the SAT barely get the pinfall victory. And then the SAT celebrate Make Mad, which gets a 35. And I had to do all the protection for Diamond and D'Lo Brown, have Diamond dominate before they were okay to do the job. So there you go. To sort of pull the curtain back a little bit, I had two ideas for basically after the show. I had basically either Sabu and Raven team up to go after the tag titles, or I had what I actually did, and then in that case I had the SAT go over. And it'll be interesting because the SAT will be able to have some fun matches with some undercard folks. Like the tag title will probably be back towards the mid card, but also, won't be a fait accompli for every match. So there you go. Anyway, we go on to our junior heavyweight title match, which is in a decent match. Low-key defeated Nigel McGuiness in 2004 by pinfall the Warriors Way. This gets a 49. Low-key gets a 48. Nigel gets a 45. So I had to go 20 minutes, so I have to guess, okay, odd face heel combination, low morale for Low-key, and inconsistency. Okay, could have been worse. And then they have a handshake, which gets a 44. And then we move on to the main event of the show. So about that, great wrestling and good heat. Steve Corino defeats Jerry Lynn in 15-11 by pinfall. It says handful of tights, but you can just imagine every cheap heel bastard way that Corino can get the win without the Extreme Horsemen getting involved. And Corino makes defense number 4 of his MLW World Heavyweight title. This gets a 62. Corino gets a 62. Lynn gets a 55. Kevin Kelly begins opening talk about who can actually take down the King of Old School here in MLW, and Corino, is basically celebrating when some weird music hits, and then a video comes in, and you hear a voice saying, "Steve, Steve, Steve, you want a challenge? Well, I have a challenge for you, because in Major League Wrestling, the Doctor is in." And yes, Steve Williams is here in MLW. I haven't. I'll go off screen because I can figure he could throw in a video and send it in because I only signed him for like a quick 3 appearance deal. But yeah, so this gets a 63. Kevin only goes nuts at a former Triple Crown champion has just challenged Steve Corino, and there you go. Overall, the show gets a 57. So let's see here. Jerry Lynn, Sabu. Who else did shockingly good? Oh yeah, that Amazing Run match. Let me give Sanjay Dutt some pop. Let's see what kind of mail we get. Survey says for that. Gotta love things. Okay. So yeah, also it was, again, if you remember the end of my last video, I actually, even though I couldn't get TV rights, I got events rights for in a bunch of regions, so actually more people watch my event than watch my TV, which actually kind of makes sense for MLW at this time. And yeah, he has PJ Freeman has an MMA fight. He'll start his camp in 2 months. Let's check out people. Some minor morale issues. Steve Williams, why is he irritated? Oh, phooey. Let's see, look at backstage. Okay, yeah, backstage is okay. Raven and Cebu have big morale issues, but I'll fix that. Let's see, look at our storylines. Best in the World at a 51. Hardcore Wars at a 49. World Titles at a 60. I should have added Steve Williams in before, but oh well. The light heavyweight mess is at a 47. Raven, Ekmo, and Sabu, which is, I think, quickly going to become just Raven and Sabu, is at a 50. And Tag Team Warfare is at a 48. Size-wise, oops, if we track our progress here, so yeah, so we actually went up a point in the Southeast, which is good. And did we go up anywhere else? Great Lakes, Midwest, okay, not quite, but Southwest, oh, yeah, okay, so not quite any increases, but still not bad. Let me see if that big win affected Steve Corino's popularity that much. So popularity-wise, he was at a 20. Okay, so in most regions he jumped up to the high 30s. In Southeast he's up to a 50-1, and okay, so that's solid. Let's see here. I'll check out other people at the end of the month. I just wanted to see Corino specifically, but I'll be back in a second with the sort of aftermath taping of MLW Underground as we begin on the road to Summer Apocalypse. So be back in just a moment with that. Alright, time for the post-Big Show Underground, so let's get rolling. As we start out with Corino, D-Lo, and JJ Dillon, who do a promo. You know, they basically say justice will come for the SATs after losing tag titles, but more importantly, who's a Steve Williams? You want to call yourself the Doctor, but you know, Steve Corino has been wrestling in a true top Japanese wrestling federation, 01, and he's never seen a Steve Williams, so he's not even sure Steve Williams deserves a title shot at all. This gets a 57, just, you know, straightforward, despicable, delusional heel promo. And then we go to the ring. We're in a terrible match. Jack Evans and TJ Wilson defeat PJ Friedman and Matt Martell in 808 when TJ Wilson pinned PJ Friedman. TJ gets 29, Jack Evans gets a 39, Matt Martell gets 24, PJ Friedman gets a 20. And then Evans, Wilson, Natty, and Val all celebrating gets a 26. And then we have our post-Big Show tradition that is, you know, highlights of the big shows, just like, you know, any ECW pay-per-view or ML. So basically, you know, we see Red Dutt and Low-Key Nigel highlights, which gets a 33. And then we have about that decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Homicide defeated Puma and 747 for the Cop Killer. This gets a 36. Homicide gets a 37. Puma gets a 28. And then Homicide cuts a promo saying, you know, a lot of people are talking about Steve Williams showing up last night, but more important, what I saw was Steve Corino, you're a bitch. Jerry Lynn, you're a bitch. I deserve a title shot because I took out Roderick Strong, and I didn't see nobody else do anything better than what I did last night. So I'll take any of you on. Lynn, Corino, it doesn't goddamn matter. Gets a 46, not bad at all. Then we have the tag title highlights, which gets a 37. And SAT cut a quick promo, basically thanking the fans for their support and saying they're going to be proud tag team champions, which gets a 31. And then we have Raven Sabu ECMO highlights, which gets a 47, including Raven's post-match promo. And then we have in our main event, in a good match, Jerry Lynn and Sanjay Dutt drew Steve Corino and Simon Diamond in 15:04 when the match descended chaos after Homicide got involved. So Dutt gets a 39, Lynn gets a 50, Diamond gets a 54, Corino gets a 65. Overall, the match gets a 55. So the match just ends when Homicide runs in and starts attacking everybody. And that continues. Where Homicide throws the title belt to the outside and just goes after Lynn and Corino with the chair, which gets a 55. So what's going to happen after this? Who knows? Well, I know. Kind of. And this gets a 50. So let's see here. Survey says... Let's see if it shows the ratings. I think it should, and see if there's anything wacky as far as the news. Okay, Carlos Colon and Triple H has new. Everybody has new catchphrase every goddamn week. Anyway, so yeah, okay, so we're back up to 10,000 viewers already, which is good. Yeah, people aren't as happy as they should be, but oh well, stuff happens. So I'll be back in a second with the next set of tapings for Underground as we continue the road on to Armageddon. What is it? August Armageddon? Yeah, okay. No, Summer Apocalypse. What am I thinking? August Armageddon's a totally different thing. Anyway, be back in just a moment. So, sorry, I just wanted to bring up a quick couple things here. So, PWG had a show, and I just was marveled at the main event. AJ Styles tweeted Sir Del Rey in an 81. Okay. Mabel defeating Apollo Can. Okay. Super Dragon defeated Mark Briscoe. That actually sounds like a PWG match. But Little Show defeated Frankie Kazarian and Samoa in a mid-card cage match. Yeah, I don't know. And yeah, Taylor Payton defeated Puma Q. So yeah, that's just wacky as hell. But anyway, be back with the actual show in a second. I just had to bring that up because I was amused by it. Welcome, everybody, to the first show of this taping on Saturday, week 2 of July of 2004, as we do a 3-week set of tapings for MLW to finish off July. So let's get rolling. So basically, we have post last week. Homicide is doing a promo saying he just showed everybody why he deserves at the top of the card, instead of being stuck with losers like Roderick Strong. And but then all of a sudden, both Jerry Lynn and Corino run in and start fighting with him, and all of a sudden it's a 3-way brawl before our various officials break things up. And this gets a 57. Then we have a match where in a terrible match, the Van Bulls defeat Quants and Puma in 931. Romero pins Quants with a Cuban Missile Crisis. Romero gets 26, Reyes gets a 41, Quants gets a 26, and Puma gets a 30. Overall, like I said, the match gets a 36. And as we move on, Pitbulls have an in-ring where they call it the SAT for a tag title match, saying, we beat you before and we'll beat you again. You got lucky at Hybrid Hell. We're not going to get lucky against the Pitbulls. And they gets a 24 because these guys are not good at talking. Then we go to a backstage statement where basically Hero, Strong, and Nigel all want a match versus Danielson, and they end up arguing, who actually has the best shot at the to actually defeat Danielson. And this gets a 43. It's a friendly argument because they're all baby faces. Then we have a Raven promo where he basically puts over the fact that MLB officials have decided that in 2 weeks he will face Sabu in a barbed wire match. And the truth is, either my redemption will happen then, or I will fail forever. Only by destroying the past once and for all can I move towards lighting the future on fire. This gets a 48. And then, in about that, a good heat and decent wrestling, Bryan Danielson drew with Loki in 15 minutes when the time limit expired. This gets a 48 because, amazingly, Bryan Danielson and Loki don't seem to click. That is friggin' hilarious. Anyway, Danielson gets a 46, Loki gets a 41. This is just a TV match, just to basically get both guys over. And then afterwards, Nigel, Strong, and Hero all come out. Basically say they want the next match versus Danielson. And Danielson makes fun of all of them, says, you're all losers. Hero, I beat you. Strong, you lost a fucking homicide. Nigel, you just got your ass kicked by this little guy, as he points over at Loki, who goes and does looks at him like Loki would look. So here's the deal. Next week, you have a fun little 3-way. Whoever manages to actually win a match can have the honor to lose to the best in the world once again. And this gets a 38. And then in our main event, and about that, a good heat and decent wrestling, Jerry Lynn and Steve Corino teaming up despite the fact they hate each other, defeated Homicide and Vampiro in 13:22 when Corino pinned Vampiro with an old school expulsion. Corino carried the match. This gets a 59 overall. Vampiro gets a 47. Homicide gets a 41. Steve Corino gets a 66. Lynn gets a 50. And then the show ends with Homicide putting Lynn through a table, which gets a 53. And overall, we're looking at a 53. So, not the best show, but a pretty solid show to build things up. Notice we didn't mention Steve Williams once because he's sort of being pushed to the side for the moment as we put over this Homicide angle. But we'll be back in a second with the second week of the tapings, which will be the third week of the tapings overall for the month. All right, time for the second set of tapings from the Hard Rock Cafe in Orlando, Florida, as we do the July tapings as we head towards the next big show, as we have a Extreme Horsemen promo where they basically put over the fact that in 2 weeks on Underground, if Steve Williams is a man, he'll come and face Simon Diamond, and if he's able to get past a former World Tag Team Champion, then Steve Corino will think about giving him a title shot. And this gets a 50. As we move on to our opening match, which has Jack Evans and TJ Wilson defeating Norman Smiley and Vampiro in 7:43 when TJ Wilson pinned Norman Smiley. This got a decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. TJ gets a 30, Jack Evans gets a 39, Vampiro gets a 48, Norman gets a 35, overall gets a 44. And then the Hearts do a quick promo where they announce that they want a title shot. And this gets a 23, because these guys can't talk yet. In fact, some might say they never learned how to talk. Then basically have Strong Nigel, looks like they're doing a strategy meeting for the three-way tonight, but it begins to fight when they argue who should actually get the shot at Danielson. Nigel puts over the fact he's never faced Danielson in an MLW ring. Well, Strong says, that last time versus Danielson he got real close, and they say, fine, let's just see who's the best man. This gets a 41. We have a SAT promo where they basically say they'll accept all comers, and this gets a 23. And then in a decent match, Nigel McGuinness defeated Roderick Strong and Chris Hero in 14:02 when Nigel McGuinness pins Roderick Strong with a fast roll-up. So finish is just what you expect. Looks like Strong hit some sort of huge backbreaker on Hero, but Nigel comes in, does some sort of wacky English roll-up and gets a huge pinfall victory over Strong. This gets a 50 because all these guys are really good at the pro wrestling. Nigel gets a 50, Roderick gets a 49, Chris Hero gets a 34. And then Roderick and Nigel argue again after the match, and Roderick walks away, which gets a 38. And then we have a Jerry Lynn promo where he calls out Homicide for a match, saying he's tired of people getting involved, in his business. He already had people screw him over for the world title, and it's never going to end, so let me just take care of this before it becomes a big deal. And that's what he calls out Homicide. And this gets a 43, because Homicide is over Corino, so Lynn's promo would be slightly worse, unfortunately. And then we have a match where in about to had great heat and decent wrestling. Bryan Danielson defeated Raven in 12:47 on pinfall, the Dragon Suplex, following interference from Sabu. So, lights go out, Sabu's there, Danielson. Raven's probably not taking a Dragon Suplex, but put it like a German suplex. This gets a 55. Danielson gets a 46, Raven gets a 55, and showing true unprofessionalism, a clearly unhappy Raven completely phoned in his performance. So that's unfortunate. And then after the match, Sabu and Raven continued to brawl, which got a 46, and overall the show got a 50. Not the best show, but some smarter people may figure out something's going on, but after the next show, we'll go over it completely, and because that'll be the last show of the taping, so be back in just a moment. Alright, time for the final show of the taping here at the Hard Rock Cafe in front of 300 people as we start with a Raven Sabu video focusing on their teaming up at the beginning of the year, their feud with ECMO, and then finally Raven turning on Sabu. And this gets a 44. And then in a bout that didn't have much heat and Travel Wrestling, Sanjay Dutt defeated Bobby Quance, Puma, and Teddy Hart in 10:27 when Sanjay Dutt pinned Puma with a Bombay Splash. Dutt carried the match in terms of performance. This gets a 38. Dutt gets a 51, Quance gets a 27, Puma gets a 27, and Teddy Hart gets a 22. And then Dutt celebrating gets a 41. So just an opening spot fest to get Dutt over and get some other people some in-ring time. And then Homicide promo basically where it cuts promo saying, "You think I'm scared of you, mother blanker?" about Jerry Lynn. Says, "White boy, I took care of SOBs like you for breakfast when I was growing up. So if you think I'm scared of you just because you were an ECW Too bad. I'm going to prove that it's my time now. And this gets a 45. And then we have a Nigel Strong promo where they basically say that, you know, they argued a little, but they've patched things up and they're ready to wrestle tonight. And this gets a 41. And then in a decent match, Low-Key and the Amazing Red defeated Nigel McGuiness and Roderick Strong in 12:47 when the Amazing Red pinned Roderick Strong with the code Red. After then, so basically, Nigel accidentally hits Roderick. Amazing Red picks up the win. And Strong gets a 47, Nigel gets a 46, Red gets a 48, Low-Key gets a 45. This gets a 50 overall. And then Roderick and Nigel almost brawl. Hero tries to come down, and Strong turns around and just backbreakers on Hero before Nigel couldn't do anything about it, which gets a 44. And then it's main event time, as in a hardcore match, which totally didn't have any barbed wire. Sunshine Network, no barbed wire at all. And about that, a great heat and decent wrestling. Sabu defeated Raven in a hardcore match in 12:20 by pinfall the Heartbreaker and Facebuster. That gets a 55. Raven gets a 53. Sabu gets a 47. And then to end things, Sabu puts Raven in a crown of thorns. And then the lights go out and Raven is gone. This gets a 41 to end things. And in case you guys didn't figure this out on your own, Raven put in his notice, which would have been after these tapings were done. So he basically, as you saw, dropped out. Put over Danielson because he was like, Danielson's the upper mid-card guy who needed the win over a main eventer the most. And then I wanted to end this feud with Sabu. So we end the show, which gets a 49. So let's see what kind of mail we get. Survey says, dooba-dooba-doo. Dooba-dooba-doo. Waiting. There we go. Okay. First, let's see what Noah did, just out of curiosity. Akiyama defeating Nagata in an 89. Mikado Hashi defeating El Samurai and Sima. Kabashi defeating Sano, Rikio, Bison Smith, and Tanahashi. Okay. Interesting. Anyway, so if we look at our mail, we've got Check-in says Poor Bring Psychology. I mean, you're right, but I don't care. Sabu, Nigel McGuinness' money. Okay. And Vampiro, Danielson, and Danielson. Alright. And let's see what this mail is about. Pay request from the Amazing Red. You know, you deserve it. So, I have to make sure. So, Monday, week 3, Monday, week 4, Monday, week 1. Okay. So, yeah, that's what I thought is, if we look at our schedule, so we're good for this taping. But we will need a tape for this TV show, and this TV show, which probably means we'll probably move things to this Saturday, and then do another three-week set of tapings, I think. But that'll be for the next video. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the end of the month, and then we'll go ahead and go over. Let's see if there was any big popularity change. Actually, let me just look at Raven real quick, because I'm just interested. Did he lose a whole ton of pop from the job squad I put him through? Not really. I mean, he's down to a 52 in the Southeast, but he's only down to a 57 in the Mid-Atlantic. Good thing that was mostly on TV and not on events where everybody could see it. But regardless, I'll be back in a second with the end of the month. Then we'll finish things out. So, time for an end of the month check-in. But however, we have one big thing to show right away. So, Sanjay Dutt went and got himself injured with a broken leg, so he'll be out for 4 months, which means some plans have changed. Not anything huge, but just to sort of let things in. Basically, what was going to happen is there was going to be the Low-Key Amazing Red match actually on one of the TV shows here in August, and then we would build to a Low-Key versus Sanjay Dutt versus returning Michael Modest 3-way at the actual big Summer Apocalypse show. But obviously, that'll be changed. Not sure exactly how right now, but we'll figure something out. But regardless, let's move on. So, just to look at things. So, franchise players. Ironically, Raven's at number 1, but he'll be gone soon. We got D'Lo at number 2, Bryan Danielson at number 3, Simon Diamond at number 4, and Jerry Lynn at number 5. So, yeah, I still don't know why Steve Corino's not on top 5 at all, but anyway. Next big things is Nigel and Puma. Hot Prospects is Hero, Nigel, Puma, Harry Smith, and 90 Neidhart. Talk to Talk is Raven, D'Lo, Corino, Diamond, and Terry Funk. Showstoppers is D'Lo, Raven, Danielson, Lynn, and Vampiro. Generals is Danielson, Raven, Nigel, Corino, and Lynn. Who's hot? Homicide, Corino, ECMO, Loki, Sabu. Who's not? Raven, obviously, Amazing Red, Michael Modest, and Sanjay Dutt. And Hidden Gems, yeah, it's who you expect. But, so again, just as a quick reminder, Global Tag Team Crown belong to the Maximos. World Heavyweight Champion is Steve Corino, and World Junior Heavyweight Champion is still Loki. Let's see here. Storyline-wise, so Best in the World is at a 45. Hardcore War, which is just sitting there, is 47. The World Title Feud is at a 48. The Cruiserweight Title Feud is at a 50. Raven Sabu is at a 52, which that'll be changed to something else soon enough. And Tag Team Warfare is at a 39. So if we look at our roster, which I'll do in sort of, as by perception. So, among our major stars, Bryan Danielson. So he's up a couple points, especially in the Southeast. He's up to a 51. In the Tri-State, he's up to 49. He's up a point in most places, so that's good. D'Lo Brown. Let's see here. Old D'Lo is basically in the same spot he was before. ECMO. ECMO's actually took a big jump. He's up to a 47 in the Southeast, and he's up to 40s mostly everywhere else. Jerry Lynn. Lynn's actually down a couple points. Southeast, he actually did gain, but everywhere else he dropped a little bit or stayed still. Loki. Loki's actually up a couple more points, so that's good. Raven, unfortunately, didn't lose that much. He lost 3 points in the Mid-Atlantic. He lost 4 points in the Southeast. But, yeah. Anyway, on the other hand, Sabu gained 3 points in the Southeast, but he lost 2 points in Southwest and Tri-State and most other places. So, you win some, you lose some. Simon Diamond gained a couple points. Gained a point or stayed even in most places, so that's good. Steve Corino is up 5 points in most places, including getting up over 50 in the Southeast and getting up to the 30s everywhere else. And then Steve Williams, who's of course has not officially appeared, is still at the same point. And yeah, if we look at his, he still has 3 months or 3 appearances, so there you go. Then if you look at our stars, we've got Homicide, who popularity-wise, he's up to be either the 30s or the low 20s at the worst everywhere, and in the Southeast, he's up to a 36. Sanjay Dutt, who's unfortunately injured, had really built himself up to the, he had lost a couple matches, I think mostly in TNA, but I, got him up. Yeah, if we look at his match history, that's sort of the problem, is he's been doing jobs in TNA a lot, so that's also a problem. And Terry Funk doesn't really matter since I'm not using him, but, he's still there here if needed. Well known, Joel Maximo is actually in the Southeast up to a 27. In other places, he's up to the mid-20s. Nigel McGuinness, in the Tri-State, he's up to a 39, probably mostly ROH stuff. But here in the Southeast, he's up to a 31. So that's also positive. Most other places, he gained a couple points, thanks to being on TV all over at Hybrid Hell. And of course, the Amazing Red. He's up to a 30. He's up to low 30s in most places, up only a point in the Northwest, but up about 4 or 5 points everywhere else. Let's see here. We got Recognizable. Chris Hero, who we're slowly working on, is up to, he's up between 1 and 4 points in most places. Not quite in the Mid-South or New England, but we also don't have TV or coverage there. Jack Evans, up to a 35. I'm going to give most of that credit to ROH for that one, but he's up 5 points Southeast, so that's a positive. Jose's also up to the mid-20s. Let's see here. Ricky Reyes, he's up to 22 in the Southeast, so back up after doing the job. And Rocky Romero is at a 22 as well. Roderick Strachan, who's up to a 40 in the Southeast, is back down to a 36. And he dropped a little thanks to his loss on the Big Show, which is unfortunate. And TJ Wilson, again, is up to a 25. and up to a 26 in the Southeast. Which, let's see if you're... Okay, yeah, I can actually give most of the credit to us for that one. I think that's it. Let's see here. Is there anybody unimportant who's important in the show? Not really. I mean, yeah. There's Teddy who's up to 20, but that's about it. So, if we look at our size, track progress. So we're up to a 41 in the Southeast. We're up to 39 in the Tri-State, and up to the high teens in most places. Unfortunately, we're going to be stuck at small for a while because we need to get to a 59 in the Southeast and 35 in either the Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic, or Mid-South region. Unfortunately, we're actually gaining popularity in the Tri-State, which doesn't really matter. But, what can you do? I mean, what will be really helpful is if we go to the battles real quick. Let's see here. Is for TNA to freaking grow out of being in our battles so they're no longer killing us. And then to start signing people written deals. At least some people. So NWA Florida doesn't have random shows. Random weekly shows that get 70s because Sting defeated Sonny Siaki to retain the NWA World Heavyweight title on them. Or Sting defeating Billy 5, which got a 75. TNA, I just wanted to show this real quick because I just found it hilarious considering what I did with them. So, main event of the TNA pay-per-view was Sting versus Raven, and I got a friggin' 95. That's just dumb. But anyway, that's it for now. Next show, at least in this series, will be obviously the final build of the Summer Apocalypse, where, we'll just, if Steve Williams can defeat Simon Diamond, he'll get a title shot most likely. Question who will face, SAT for the tag team titles, who will face Low-Ki for the junior heavyweight title, where Sabu will go after sending Raven out of Major League Wrestling. What's the future for Jerry Lynn? Will you actually have a match with Homicide? And, of course, will Chris Hero want to get some payback on Chris Hero after Roderick Strong broke his back right in the middle of the ring? That's all for now. So if you've liked this, go ahead and give it a like. Comment below on what you're liking and not liking. And subscribe to the channel for lots of TEW 2020 content, including this, my Women's Wrestling 2010 series, my various Cornell first series, my WCW 1993 with Eric Bischoff, and of course the long-running WCW 2001 series, which is now in 2003 and just finished with Bash at the Beach. But that's all for now. So talk to you later, and adios.